All right. Ready?
Yes. I
Okay. We'll wait for Danielle. Ready? Hello, Lindsey.
Hello.
How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
A little warm. This is like such a warm. I was not expecting it to be 85 in LA today in February.
Winter's over.
I know.
It's done. It's amazing.
Well, first of all, your place is freaking adorable.
Thank you.
We were saying like this is just like the perfect backdrop. It's so like intentional. It's like meant to do this.
I love it. I really wanted like a New York vibe, but there's no way I'm gonna live in New York ever because can't do it in winter.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is the closest I can get, I guess.
No, I see it. I see the New York vibe. I feel it.
The brick and the concrete and all your awesome. Like Danielle said, very intentional. Like your mirror wall.
Thank you.
So cute.
Thank you. I put my whole heart into it.
Into decorating.
Into decorating and thrifting and getting everything for this place.
How long did you say you lived here?
8 months.
8 months.
8 months, exactly. Yeah.
How has it been?
It's been insane. It's not at all what I expected, I think, and felt a lot more seamless than I thought it was going to be really difficult because I moved here alone and I'm from NorCal. All my friends are from NorCal. Like, I don't know anybody here in terms of like work and just like friendships and family and things like that. So I was expecting to like feel a lot more like isolated and have to really go out of my way to meet people. But right when I moved here, I just like met so many people just like very naturally and like was really nervous about finding work at first, but that kind of just all fell into place very quickly, which was interesting.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, exactly what you said is why we wanted to talk to you because we were like, social media is so cool. You can watch someone's transition if they choose to share it. And I feel like, we're like, oh my gosh, look at Lindsey go. Yeah. I know, thinking about where you were like a couple years ago when you like come shoot for us at the studio.
Yeah.
All of it, we've all evolved so much since then. So it's been fun to watch your journey.
It's been insane. It's been a really wild year for
Yeah.
sure. For
Seems
sure.
like it.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about your upbringing, where you're from.
So I grew up in Sacramento, California, kind of middle of nowhere, and then moved to San Luis Obispo, which is like kind of also the middle of nowhere. So I always lived in like very quiet towns, very like suburban. I went to school for photography and then graduated college right when the pandemic started with like no idea what I was supposed to do. And I, since the age of 14, have been working like every photo job ever. I used to shoot bat mitzvahs. That was my first photo job. And then I did weddings for a couple of years. And then I worked as a product photographer throughout college. So while that wasn't what I ultimately wanted to do, it like gave me so much experience, like really good, valuable experience. And I definitely would have like none of the knowledge I have today without working that job. Literally for like a tennis company. It's just so funny when I show people my work and they're like, really? Learn from a tennis company. But
When did you start photography or when did you become interested?
I always liked it. I think I found my parents' old film camera when I was like 11 or something and was just walking around my neighborhood and taking pictures. And then in high school, I took 2 years of photo classes and like every weekend I would make my friends go out to like the American River and shoot really bad portraits of them, but I would do that.
Did you do like the railroad tracks?
I did it.
Oh, yeah.
Railroad tracks, the girls standing in the river.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of like dead salmon everywhere.
Oh my goodness.
It's an aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's such a suburban photography aesthetic.
It is.
Yeah.
But I would every weekend like make my sisters or my friends just stand in front of the camera for me while I figured it out.
Yeah.
So and then for college I was like, I don't really want to do anything. Like nothing sounds that fun. I guess I'll do photography because that's like the one thing I really enjoy. Which ended up being the right choice.
Yeah.
Which is impressive for like 16-year-old me to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely worked out.
Yeah, I didn't even know Cal Poly had a photography program until I met you.
Yeah, it's like, I think there was 12 people in my year.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely a really small program for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you feel like you're glad that you went to college for it, or do you think that just having experience would have just been just as good?
I think the most valuable thing about school was like giving myself time to really figure out what I wanted to do, because while a degree in like art in general is nice, it's absolutely like not necessary in the slightest, is what I kind of learned. Like everything I use, like in terms of like day-to-day knowledge, is all from experience. Like school was nice, but like I learned a lot about art history, which was like really nice, and I think compositionally it really helped me. But like in terms of photography, I learned almost everything, especially like business stuff and how to work with people. I learned that all from like jobs and
Yeah,
just
from
playing
just
around.
doing it.
Yeah,
Real life
totally.
experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, her and I always talk about that with, everything we do creatively. It's like, I went to school for a little bit. She got a degree in, what was it?
Fashion merchandising.
Yeah. And it's always funny, just like, I chose the more non-traditional route. I started school and was like, I don't know if I need this. So it's cool that, you got the college experience and you had the boost in creative.
Yeah, and it was nice to have like 4 years to
Yeah,
kind of,
you were like in a
Experiment.
structure.
yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah,
That definitely helped.
the pressure, you didn't have the pressure to like figure it out. Like,
Exactly. I don't think I would have like fallen into this if I right at like, because I graduated college when I was 17, had to like
High school.
yeah, literally.
You graduated
Or
high school.
high school.
I was like, wow, I graduated early college at
Yeah.
17.
Good job. No, totally. I mean, yeah, jumping into a career at 17 would be absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So-
And the fact that people expect you to like know what you want to do when you're 17 for the rest of your life is ridiculous. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'll pick the one thing that's fun, I guess.
I know.
Which ended up being the one thing that worked, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, I remember when I was traveling in Thailand and so many people were doing a gap year like in Europe, and I was like, I had no idea this was a thing. That they're like, go just travel for a year and
It's
then
so
like
nice.
take some time off to figure out what you want to do. And I'm like, wow, we just get thrown into it here.
Yeah, it'd definitely be nice to have that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you transition into doing this professionally? It sounds like you had some odd jobs in the beginning.
Yeah, so I've only been fully freelance for about 9 months now. I quit my job 1 month before moving here, which initially was like not the plan in the slightest. My initial plan was to like move to LA, find a job that was like kind of similar to what I was doing in SLO, which was commercial photography, like anything to make money. And my plan was if I can be freelance by the time I'm 25, that would be great.
Yeah.
But I decided to just start posting on the internet and like doing it without worrying so much about what people think, because I think so much of like, especially in SLO, like the photography scene is interesting because it's a lot of people competing to be the best at the same thing.
Yeah.
Like there's not that many people trying to just do their own thing. And I think it's changing a lot now, but I always wanted to do like a little more outside the box, but I was thinking like, oh, the only way to make money is to like shoot weddings or shoot portraits, so I have to stay in that box. And then 2021, in January, I just decided to like, whatever, I don't really care anymore. I'm just gonna start posting. I have literally nothing to lose. So I'm just gonna start posting. And I got a little studio. I only was gonna initially rent it out for a month. So I literally could not afford it. And then ended up like falling in love with that. And it was nice because I had my own little space. I like didn't have to rely on the weather and everything like that. And so I ended up at the end of every month asking the guy I was renting it from if I could have it for another month. And so I ended up shooting in that studio up until I moved. And I think having that space and then like really just letting go of like, I guess worrying what people thought about me on social media is what really like allowed me to grow. Because once I like started doing that, I realized that first of all, nobody really cares that much in the first place about like what you're posting. So there's really like no need to worry. And I also realized that people are really drawn to like authenticity. and like people just being genuine in themselves, because I don't think I think now you're starting to see more of it, but when social media had that big like 2016 through like 2018 boom, it was a lot of like fake, like highlight reel of your life, stuff like that. People were just all trying to like copy who's successful. And I think I just started like posting what felt true to me and what I wanted, and like the work I was doing that I actually liked and felt like myself, instead of just like doing what everyone else is doing. And once I started doing that and like just posting a bunch, because like why not? It's kind of fun too, just like making TikToks and stuff. I was able to quit my job, which was really nice. Everybody lose the sirens. But I was able to quit my job and then move to LA like fully freelance, which is not the plan at all. But I'm like really happy to turn out this way because it's fun. It's very fun. I enjoy it a lot.
Was that more on a whim where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm now in a position where I can make this move? Or was it kind of in the back of your head for a while where you wanted to make the move to LA?
I always wanted to move to LA because I graduated college right when the pandemic started, and I initially was going to move then. But then with the pandemic, I decided to stay and just work for an extra year in SLO because I had a job and it didn't seem like I was going to get a good one in LA right when the pandemic started. So I ended up having to stay in SLO for an extra year, and then I was like, I'll just figure it out next year. And so it all felt very natural and very like, that was what I was supposed to do. And it all worked out, totally worked out.
We talk a lot about divine timing and like, you know, when things don't work out, you get kind of worked up about something and you're like, oh, why is this happening? It'll always make sense later on. And so just kind of waiting. And it sounds like that was like exactly your experience.
Totally. It felt like my world was ending when the pandemic started because I had to like redo my whole life plan. But then I wouldn't change anything that happened for sure. Like it was the most fun year of my life, just living in SLO with all my friends, but also like having that time to work and just experiment was really valuable for sure.
Totally. Well, have you always kind of had an entrepreneurial mindset? Because it sounds like from the get-go you've been really passionate about photography, but at what point were you really like, I want to make a living off of this?
I don't think I've always had that mindset.
Really?
Like, I think I was a little like shy and scared, like when I was growing up. And in college, like the thought of supporting myself financially from photos like felt like completely unreachable. Like there was no way I'm going to be able to do that. Like it's crazy. But just kind of as I started to do it, it just like kind of felt a little bit more natural. Like I'm still learning. I've only been freelance for like 9 months. And so there's a lot I'm still learning. But I think as I just did it, it started to like, I got more comfortable with it.
It was less scary.
Less scary.
I can actually do this.
It wasn't as scary as it seemed.
And when you say that, you're talking about like photos that you take on your own, like freelance. Because I think that's like you were still working, taking photos. Which I still think is really impressive. Like still, you know, being a professional photographer in like a different way, even if it's for a company.
I know, it's so beyond opposite of what I do now though. It's like to me in my head, they're so different. So different. I was taking pictures of like tennis rackets. Like all day long.
You didn't love that?
It's had its moments.
It's so funny. So what do you think that your like leap of faith, like where did that come from? You know what I mean? Like you just being like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it now.
Okay. So there was definitely a pivotal moment in my life. And I feel like a lot of people have something like this and kind of adapt this mindset, but like I experienced the death of my best friend, like unexpectedly on Christmas 2020. And so when that happened, I kind of just like had this mindset of like, oh, like nothing matters, but like in a good way. I was like, who cares? Like life is too short to waste on like my anxiety and stress levels. Like you'd think something like that would like make it go crazy, but honestly for like months and months after that, I was very like calm. And like, it was interesting because, just all my anxiety was like alleviated. So I was like, well, nothing actually matters. Like life is short, just do what you want. No time to waste. And so I think that was the pivotal moment in my life that I went from like not having the confidence and not really being sure like I could do this to just being like, whatever. I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah. What do I lose? Nothing. Like,
It's so true. Like when something like that happens in your life, you realize like, oh, there's only one of me.
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be gone someday too. And if I want to do the things that, I want to do, I should go make it happen because no one's gonna do it the way you do it. And I feel like your photography is such a example of that because you've created such a like style, you know what I mean? That's so unique in that I haven't seen anywhere else, that's for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. I love that you've stayed really true to yourself, and even like you said, in comparison, watching other people do it a certain way, that you've been able to be confident enough to be like, no, this is the way I'm going to do it. It's not going to look the same as everyone else. But I think that's why you have been so successful. It's like when you post something, I'm like, I know that's yours. I'm not going to be like, oh, I wonder who's like, So I think that's really awesome that you've been able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I realized too, like once I started to kind of fall into myself more, I realized because my whole life I was like, I don't fit in. Like that's such a problem. And I like joined sorority for a year. Like I was really trying all throughout high school and college to just like fit in. And then once I started to just like not care and just do what I wanted to do, I realized that like not fitting in was like a really good like strength, not a weakness at all. And now I feel that way. And it's like I also feel the most myself I've ever felt in my life, like the most confident, and it's all because I just like stopped trying to do what everyone else is doing.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
embracing like who you are and your individuality.
Yeah, which took a while to figure out, but it feels good.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. So once you moved here, what was like the next step? Like what were you doing? You know what I mean? So you were doing your own freelance in Slow before you moved?
Yeah,
Okay.
for a month. I was like slowly building, and then I had 1 month where I was fully freelance in Slow, just doing like studio photography. And then I was sort of marketing myself in Los Angeles, like on Instagram, so that when I got here, I would have jobs booked. So I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I just moved to a new city and I have no jobs.
Yeah.
So I think I had like a month or two booked before I even moved, which was like smart on my part, I guess, because I didn't have that like free falling anxiety of
what's gonna
new
happen?
city, no jobs. But that's like the nice part about social media is you can like market yourself literally anywhere. So I moved here. I had a bunch of just like kind of random studio jobs, and then I started working with the TikTokers once I moved here, which was like totally not my plan at all, but it just kind of happened, which was it was cool. I really enjoyed working with them a lot. So
did they find you, or was that something you?
I sort of found them. The first shoot I did in my studio here was with a TikToker, and I just like it was like a cold DM. I just randomly DM'd her. I was like, "There's no way she's gonna respond," but she did, and that was the first shoot I did. And Evan Norton.
Okay. Oh
yeah.
Her look and your guys' like her look and your photography together.
Well,
like,
from the first time we met, it was just like a really good synergy, and that was like the first studio shoot I did here.
Wow.
Yeah, which was really fun, just like completely random. And it's such a small city that kind of just through that and just through social media, I was able to connect with a lot of them.
Yeah.
Which is it's crazy. It's the biggest small town ever.
Yeah. I know. I think that's funny. We're like, it's such a small town. Like, it doesn't feel that way. But
everybody like knows each other, knows somebody who knows. It's
totally.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Well,
yeah, the power of social media is like so amazing that you can do that, and that's so cool that you were able to even before you moved here have things set up, so you're not just really like, oh my God, what am I going to do once I get there?
It's nice. It really puts your own future into your own hands. Like you're in charge of it, which is nice.
Yeah. So we kind of talked about how you have a really specific style of photography. How do you feel like that has evolved, or like what advice would you give to someone that's trying to like differentiate themselves? Because I feel like you said, it's so easy to be like, oh, well, they're doing that. I'm just starting out, so I'm just going to copy. Like, how do you find your niche?
I really would say just like experiment as much as you possibly can. Even when you're like happy with something, just keep pushing it. And again, just like do what feels true to you. And like don't follow trends. That's my advice, because like with social media and just how quickly it cycles now, like with TikTok being around, it's like, it's not even worth it to participate in a trend because by the time you've done it, like thousands of other people have too.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like just doing, like seeing what interests you, seeing what you're really drawn towards in terms of inspiration and like vibe, you know, and just like looking at that and seeing how you can interpret that in a creative way, like not just for photography, but I think really just like looking inward and really seeing what you want to do and not just what you think is going to make you money is what's important. Because that's where I was stuck. I was like, I didn't think there was a way to make money with photography besides like weddings, because that's like where we used to live. That was all that there was. But it's totally not true in the slightest. And it's actually a lot easier to make money than you'd think with freelance.
Do you consider yourself, we talk about intuition a lot, do you consider yourself an intuitive person? Because as you're talking and like, you seem like you really like act on like feelings and like what really feels good. Like, would you consider yourself an intuitive person?
100%. Like, especially after like going through the death of my best friend, I realized that I've always like had a pretty strong gut feeling, and I like really learned to trust it. Like after going through last year, because it was always right. Like it told me like, quit your job, move to LA. Even like with people I meet, I can always tell. It's just trusting your gut is like a very, I definitely believe in that. Your intuition's never wrong. Never wrong. Even when you like go against it, it's still never wrong.
Yeah. I know it's so easy to sometimes be like, oh, that doesn't seem right, and question it, but agreed.
Yeah, definitely.
How would you describe your own style and aesthetic and how it's changed?
It's interesting because I don't even know. It's like psychedelic, fashion, editorial, sort of.
I like that.
Fits into a lot of different categories. My goal is to be equal parts creepy and sexy. That's like what I want my aesthetic to be. But it's definitely changed like crazy over the past like year or two. Because I was doing like wedding beach sunset photos for a while, and before that I was doing like photos in the river and stuff like. And I was doing product photography and event photography, just everything. And then even my old studio photos look really different than what they are now.
Is it like a conscious evolution, or you just kind of, you know, I guess let your intuition guide you and just kind of like, this is what I'm doing today, we'll see how it looks?
Definitely just following what I wanted to do. And also I learned that people like when I just, like the weirder the better. Like people are really drawn to that. And I was like, I mean, you don't have to ask me twice to just like be strange and do what I want. And also I used to like do a lot of editing for my own job as well. So I learned Photoshop like really well. And I never realized that I could like incorporate that into my work, which is like pretty much what makes my work what it is now. And so once I started kind of playing with like different mediums and a lot of Photoshop, like weird experimental stuff, is sort of how I developed my like style into what it is today.
Yeah, it really differentiates you from like a lot of other photographers, I think. Like Danielle said, you see a photo that you've taken and you're like, oh, that's for sure Lindsey. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you ever made something that you would hate? Because I feel like you have to do so much experimenting. So.
I am the worst, and I feel like every like artist feels this way. I just like, I'm a week after I make something, I'm like, no, I hate that.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything. Like even photos that I like, I'm like,
I can do it better now.
Totally. All the time. Like a lot.
Yeah. I feel that.
It's hard not to be hard on yourself. Yeah.
Especially our creative brains, for some reason, I feel like we're always so hard on ourselves.
It's tough, it's true. And then when you're also doing it for a living, sometimes you just have to do work you aren't happy with because it's like what your client wants. But sometimes that just is what it is. And it's like, that's what I'm trying to learn with, like, I'm trying to learn how to accept that and not let it like drain me right now is kind of what I'm dealing with.
Yeah. When you're hired to like create someone else's vision, and you're like, okay.
And it's like not something I'm really happy with, but I want to make sure I can get them what they want. Or they just want something that it's like the same thing I've done a billion times. Yeah.
What do you do when you lose inspiration? Or do you ever? Or do you always?
Oh my gosh, yeah. always. I get, and especially this past month, I experienced like the worst burnout ever because I was just so tunnel visioned to like build a career, and then I got there, I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah.
So I just got so burnt out that honestly, I just like stopped posting on TikTok and Instagram, and that was not feeling the pressure to like pump out content, and I'm still getting like jobs. Like you don't have to post every day to still get jobs, which is nice. And then also like leaving town, that was nice, and just not focusing so much on the photo because you just get so like lost when you're. I mean, I live in my studio, like it's all I think about all the time. It's all I stress about like 24/7. But like leaving and kind of breaking the pattern and just taking a break is probably like the biggest.
Yeah, gives you perspective,
Yeah, 100%. Really just put things into place.
like a reset.
Yeah.
I know it makes you look at like, okay, like why did I choose to do this? Like you also step back from your life and you realize how like grateful you are to be doing it.
How grateful and how cool my job is because I forget.
Yeah.
Like every day how cool it is.
Yeah.
And it really helps to just take that step back.
Yeah. So the people, like the influencer world, like, so you really just started cold calling, DMing people, and or not, cold calling, I guess. It's not calling, but
Cold message.
Yeah, that was how I started working with them. I would, when I had like more of a smaller following, I would check who followed me, and I would like pretty much every single person. And if they were like someone who had cool energy or like cool, if they were doing like fashion or something like that, I would always reach out and just like establish that rapport. And then when I first moved here, I definitely did some cool DMs, and like honestly the shoots that, because when I DM someone, it's usually more like a collaborative. It's like they're not hiring me, and those shoots are always my favorite. It's like the ones that are just like no money, like just fun and kind of experimenting are always my favorites. Like all my favorite photos are from shoots like that.
No pressure.
No pressure, yeah. It's always really fun to do that. But that's kind of how I got connected into the influencer world, and just through TikTok. Honestly, TikTok is like really powerful.
Yeah.
Really powerful, and it like connects you to people who you never would have thought you could get connected with.
Yeah.
Just really cool.
So to anyone kind of starting out or not knowing where to begin, would that be a word of advice?
TikTok.
Okay,
TikTok. And DM everybody, even if you don't think they're gonna answer.
Yeah.
That's definitely. I've had some people DM me back, and how did you see that?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
People check their inbox.
Yeah.
Everybody.
That's happened to me too, where I'm like, whoa, you have like 500,000 followers and you just happen to click on my
It's
DM.
crazy. I've had some people DM me like,
No. Yeah, you're like, you're a person? Like, you're real?
yeah, it's crazy.
So funny.
That's funny. So we talked about intuition. Are you into like law of attraction, manifestation at all? Has that been like part of your journey, or?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. For sure, manifestation. And I don't think I really understood what it meant until, like, my friend Darren really just like changed that. It changed my whole perspective.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand manifestation because I was like seeing all these TikToks that are like, say this 3 times into the year and all your dreams will come true. And I was like, but I think what I learned from like my pretty much like whole understanding of the world shifting when I went through that like whole trauma moment.
That really will shake you up. To, like,
it does, and it was, I've never experienced something like that before, and it was crazy, and it was really like really close to me, and it literally shifted my entire perspective.
Yeah.
And like when you think about something like that happening, you're like, oh my god, I'm just gonna be sobbing, crying all the time. But it's like you just like live, you move on, and you just live your life. But I think I started to understand that manifestation isn't just like saying something into a mirror, but it's more of like a wholehearted understanding and like belief that you will get somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big believer in like the energy you put out, you're gonna get back. Like people are very intuitive. Like you can really sense someone's energy, and the universe can sense your energy. And like if you're putting out good energy, you're not hurting anybody. Like you're gonna get good back. Is what I really believe. So I think that has definitely is a big contributor to like how I got to this point in my life. Was just like really believing, like, but like really from the bottom of my heart.
I feel like you're a great example of embodiment. Like you had this, and I mean, death in general, I feel like people either can go 2 ways. It's like one way is like, fuck it, I'm gonna live my biggest, best life, or it's like, I'm gonna sit here and like wallow forever.
Exactly, and that's what I thought. I thought it would be a little wallower, but it was really surprising, and I think that also showed me like I'm a very strong person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, and I really have my own back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if nobody else does, I do. And it's like, that really showed me that, okay, I can do this. And like, it's actually a possibility and something that can happen if I just like work
Yeah.
and like really put my whole head into it.
Yeah, the embodiment is, we talked about that before, is the key to manifestation, because I feel like people will wish and want and hope to become something different or something to change in their life, but you realize like you are such a key factor in that. It's like you can't look for it outside of yourself, you have to become it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had no idea about, your loss and your friend passing, and with your story, it makes a lot of sense on like kind of how you became even more magnetic, because you've had this, pivotal moment in your life and you're like, all right, here I go. And it honestly makes your story make so much more sense. So thank you for telling that.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely, that's how I think of time in terms of my head.
Yeah.
I say BT and AT, before trauma, after trauma. It's like,
Yeah.
that really was the pivotal moment for my whole mindset and
Mhm.
everything. Like, to just really feel more, it helped me just fall into myself and
Yeah.
really become like what I wanted to become, rather than just like not really knowing how or what I
Yeah.
wanted to do and everything like that.
I can relate so much to that. So you sharing that, like, again, thank you, because it's like, I don't think people realize like when you lose a person or something traumatic happens, like the fuck it mentality, like, you really don't care. You're like,
You don't.
Yeah.
And it was weird because that whole experience, it was like so ridiculously traumatic because I was the last one to see him and the one to find him. So it was like really bad.
oh my goodness.
And the whole time, even the day after it happening, I remember I like drove to Santa Barbara because I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go drive somewhere.
Yeah.
And like on that drive, I just remember thinking like, I can't explain exactly why, but I just know the universe has my back.
Yeah.
Like even though this terrible thing just happened, and I feel like I probably should be a lot more like shook up than I actually am, for some reason I know that everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And I know that the universe has my back. Which was like a really strange feeling at first
Mhm.
to understand, but like as time passed, I think it was like the beginning of me really understanding that embodiment.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really just gotta put your whole self into it.
Do you feel like you still have a connection with them?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I feel like it's like the first 6 months after that happened, I was sort of all over the place because but like not in a bad way.
Naturally.
Yeah.
And
As you should.
it was like I like barely was drinking. I was like hiking like 5 times a week. So I was like, if I'm doing that right, then the other things will follow.
Yeah.
And so I just like started really taking good care of myself. And I mean, my whole like perspective was shifting. So it took some time to like settle. And now that it's been like over a year, I have a lot of moments where I'm like, my life is like really cool. Like I'll just be driving home at night. I'm like, oh my God, like I live in LA. And I'm like, it's really cool. And I think that whole experience just really, it was interesting. It was really interesting, but I feel like my whole understanding of manifestation and just like really putting the energy in and getting it back came from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really feel that before at
Yeah.
all, which is interesting.
Yeah.
It's not what you think, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it's really, I think it's really inspiring for anyone who's gone through any sort of loss. It's like, you can make your life into something
Mm-hmm.
like a dream, and it can become reality.
Exactly, yeah, in a ton of ways. And like nothing really matters.
Yeah.
Nothing actually matters that much, come on. Like, yeah.
I tell people that, and it's so funny because like people automatically take that in a negative way. Like,
Yeah.
not giving a fuck is like really bad, but I think there's something so powerful in that because
It's
you're
so
no longer
good.
attached to things, you don't have expectations. Like, yeah, I think that's can be so powerful.
And
Yeah.
it made letting go of things a lot easier once I was. But now when people exit my life, when jobs exit my life, I'm just like, is what it is.
Right.
No point in dwelling. It was supposed to happen for some reason, and it always.
But the funny thing is, I feel like when there's things that disrupt like the podcast, like those sirens, I feel like in life, like if you've ever taken a meditation class, probably just really well.
It's a busy street.
If the siren goes off or if you're in meditation, it's like those are moments to really listen. So I take that as a sign. There is no fluke, there is no coincidence. Like anyone who's listening, hopefully you're really pay attention. You've got some wisdom to share because honestly, I wasn't expecting that coming into this but like it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can just tell your energy. Like, it's probably been a few years since I've seen you. I think we were both very young, but I can just tell your energy. Like, I like the way Savannah said magnetic. I feel like that's the energy I feel coming off of you. And that's like how you get things when you get to that point of like, you're just sitting back and things are just coming to you because you're at peace with it. And yeah. That's manifestation right there.
It was crazy.
It's not trying.
Yeah.
It's not like, like that energy of like trying to like go and
Like desperation.
Desperation, exactly. It's like such a different energy.
It's crazy. The acceptance I wanted so badly and was trying so hard to get didn't come until I like stopped trying to get it. Yeah, which is interesting. Turns out all I needed to do was like not try so hard.
Just be you.
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
Yeah.
stop trying to emulate someone else. Just
Exactly.
be me.
Yeah.
There's only one of me. And I think again, when you go through loss or death, you realize like there was only one of that person, and they're no longer here. I also think, just through my own experience with death, like that's such an opportunity to, like, what did that person bring into your life, and how can I share that with the world? Because they're no longer here, so
That was a big part of it too. It was like taking the spirit and energy of like the person you've lost and really like keeping it alive in yourself and to those around you. It's interesting because people meet me and it's like a lot of aspects of my personality came from that, and it's like they have no idea, but like I know, but it's like it's nice. It's like it feels very peaceful. Like to have that.
Well, I think what you said too, just like prioritizing your like physical health and mental health and like well-being, like you being like all that. And you intuitively just need to go on like 5 hikes a week, you know, that's probably all you could handle at the time.
Yeah. The morning after it happened, I went on a 6-mile hike.
Yeah.
So I was like, at least I know I'll get some serotonin from that.
Totally.
So, yeah.
We have a friend who's going through big shifts in her life too, and she's just become such an avid hiker.
She's like, I did 11 miles today.
I never was a hiker. I hated hiking. I hated it. But then like it became, and I still do it all the time. It's like such a meditative thing. It's where I get all my best thinking done. It's where I like feel the best, and I like hated it growing up.
Yeah,
So much. Like, we go on hikes with my friends, like but now like in slow, I hiked at least 4 days a week just by myself.
that's awesome.
Never with anyone, just by myself, headphones in, just like
Here we go.
Yeah, just like the energy of being in nature too, I think is so extremely healing.
going on walks.
Yeah.
It's just a walk. I never realized hiking was just a walk. So nice.
Do you hike now that you're in LA?
Less, but I do, just because I used to be able to walk from my front door, which is really nice, and now it's like a whole thing. But like working for yourself is nice. Because if I want a lot, 4 hours to go and hike and get coffee, like I can.
Yeah.
Which is really like on a Monday or something.
Yeah.
So I try to go like once a week.
And it's probably smart to do it on like you said on Monday, the off days.
Exactly.
When everyone's at work.
It's so nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you do a pretty good job of balancing like your personal life and your work, or do you feel like you work all the time?
Are you still figuring it out?
I think about work all the time.
Yeah.
But I definitely like, I'm pretty good about balancing like time with like energy. Like it's really hard to turn your brain off when you're freelance. You're just always like, I get an email and I'm like, oh my God. If it's like 9 o'clock on a Friday night, I'm like just stressing about that email all night.
We relate so much to that.
Well, and like right now, my job is basically working on the house because I create home content, and I feel like the same thing because I'll be in the living room and that'll be my project. And instead of just like chilling in the living room, I'm like in work mode. I'm like, I need to do this, I need to do that.
So we're
it's so hard.
watching TV in the living room with Danielle.
Like measuring,
Just like staring at a wall. Like,
I feel that. It's hard to turn your brain off.
Mhm.
Definitely hard. Yeah. To not have to answer an email or a text right away. That's work related.
Mhm.
Yeah.
well, do you have any goals for the? I mean, you've only been in LA for the past 8 months. You said
8 months, but I definitely, because I never thought I would get to the point I am at now. Like I didn't really think past it up until like really recently, because I wasn't even planning on getting here. So I never thought past it, but I definitely have some goals, some bigger goals now that I've like had some time to like sit with where I am. I really want to like make a photo book. That's a goal of mine. Big project, but it's gonna happen someday.
divine timing.
Divine timing, exactly. It will happen when it's ready. I definitely want to work with, like, I work with a lot of like influencers right now, but I want to transition more into working with musicians.
Ooh, very cool.
So I really love that, and I love music so much, but I have no musical talent whatsoever. So I really want to like work in that industry with what I can do, which is photo. So I really want to transition into more of that and doing more like editorial kind of work, stuff like that. Just like shooting less frequently and putting more love into each one.
Yeah.
So I have more time and energy to really make each one good and unique. Because sometimes I just get into like client mode where I'm just like, I don't care. I just need to do all these because I'm so busy.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to not do that anymore.
Well, you're in the right place, LA. I'm always so like intrigued and I find it interesting who's drawn here, you know?
It's crazy. It's funny because when I lived in SLO and I told people I was moving to LA, they're like, ew.
Yeah.
Why would you ever do that? I would never get near LA in a million years. And I always loved it. I always wanted to move here. I always loved it. I don't care. I literally live like 2 blocks from Skid Row and I'm just like, oh, LA. But it's interesting.
Your intuition brought you here. That's what I'm
There's
like.
a specific energy here.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's
like-
definitely not for everyone, but I like love it so much.
Yeah.
So just like felt at home when I got here.
Yeah, your higher self is like, this is where you need to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's always so, yeah. I think it's fascinating, like who ends up here, who forces it and comes here because they think like, oh,
It's the only way to make it.
by me moving here, everything's gonna, you know, come to me versus
Yeah.
the people who are like drawn here because, yeah, I think about all the people you've worked with in the past 8 months.
And it's crazy because I would hear so many people be like, oh, the people in LA are fake. I have not met a single person that is like that.
Yeah,
Because you're gonna get back what you're putting out.
yeah,
So everyone in my area is so amazing and like powerful and supportive. And I have so many like photographer friends, and there's no sense of like competition whatsoever. Like I call them for advice. Like we're all here to just support each other. Which was not. I thought it was gonna be scary. I
yeah.
thought it was gonna be like cutthroat, but it's actually really supportive and like a really wonderful little community to be a part of.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Who is your dream client?
I have 4.
Okay.
Ooh.
Grimes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh. Lindsey.
That's the only person who's ever followed me. Where I'm like,
I just
Wait, I
full body
have chills. Literally, like picturing you guys together, you would make such magic.
that's the goal.
I'm
Yeah.
crying. Oh my god.
I saw that and I called my mom.
Oh yeah.
I called my mom.
I'm literally tearing up for you. Like that's so fucking cool.
That was a really cool moment. Doja Cat,
Yes.
FK Twigs, and Poppy. Those are my 4 dream people to shoot
I can see it already. I can
someday.
see it.
I'm literally crying. Wow.
I love that.
That's so cool. So happy for you. Like it's so fun again knowing you when you were younger. I mean, you're still so young. So that's how you know cool shit's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have so much time and like you don't need to worry about it or stress about it. It sounds like you've already figured all of that out where you just like, we all have our moments, but you can remind yourself like, oh yeah, things are happening on the right time at the right pace. And yeah, knowing you when you were younger and like in college and
I
like
think we met when I was 19.
so
Like,
little.
a while ago, or 20, yeah.
So little.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, your mindset is in the absolutely right place. So that's really cool to see because we're like, oh, so many things are going to happen for you.
Yeah.
We can't wait to watch.
Next time we talk to you, we'll have to come back in like a year.
Yeah.
Do another interview.
Yeah.
You can share all the fun things you're doing now.
We'll say hi to Grimes since she's hanging out.
We're gonna see that on the internet one day. It's gonna happen.
We're trying.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's watching you. You're gonna just
Mhm.
magnetize it.
Yeah.
That's true.
Hold the mirror up. She's gonna see something in you that she relates to. Wow, that's so fucking cool. Well, congratulations on the follow.
Yeah.
Oh my
Thank
God, I'm so excited about that.
That's so fun.
This is a random question. What is your sign?
Oh yeah.
I've got some good ones.
Yeah.
I'm Sagittarius.
Ah,
And I have an Aries moon.
Mhm.
And a Scorpio rising.
Oh.
Which I like didn't really like identify with until recently, and now I'm like, that's 100% true.
And your photos, it makes so much sense because the rising's all about like how you come off to the world and how people just like look at you and what they think, and how you were like, I want to be, what was it, creepy and sexy.
Creepy and sexy, yeah.
That's like
my goal.
that is a Scorpio.
Yeah.
So that's so funny.
Yeah. A lot of fire.
Well, do you have any advice that you would give to someone who's wanting to follow their dreams or follow like their intuition themselves and maybe doesn't feel like they can take the leap?
Definitely nobody cares what you're doing anyways, so just do what you want. Nobody cares that much. And to just, be yourself, be authentic. Everybody says that, and I never really understood it until recently. Like, just, there's no use in wasting all that energy, like, caring what others think and thinking what you should be doing.
Yeah.
And just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because it's not as scary as it seems once you start doing it.
Yeah. I know we always talk about, that's why our podcast is called The Authentic Souls. It's like, okay, when you start living by like your soul's like true life path of what your intuition is guiding you, you're gonna just start showing up more and more authentic, and it may trigger some people for sure. Like some people may, be watching what you're doing and like, damn, how did you do that? And you're like, dude, I'm just literally doing me and like following my own inner guidance system. And like you were saying, like stop trying to replicate other people.
Exactly.
Because the people who've been successful, they didn't do that.
No.
Yeah.
And I was so surprised how many people were like, this is so cool. Like I had people, like my first grade best friend reached out to me and was like, this is so cool to watch you. So I think I was really surprised by how like supportive and accepting everyone was.
Yeah.
There's even like my whole family, because I do like all the other stuff, and like my mom's like, yeah, which is so funny because I was so nervous about that. But everyone's very accepting and
You're like, you're an adult now.
yeah,
Do what you want.
It's so funny. It's so funny. Yeah.
Talk about Scorpio rising right there. So funny. Oh my gosh. Well, this conversation has been so much fun. So
Yeah, it's
wonderful.
so much fun.
So great to see you again and
Yeah,
hear how you're doing.
I know. Can't wait to hear what's going to happen in the next 8 months.
No idea. We'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy. All right. Well, thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
We'll see everyone next week.
Bye.
That was fun.
Good job.